Hey, welcome. So today I'm going to review and unbox the Madworks 0.3 millimeter and 0.5 millimeter airbrushes that they're producing, and hopefully get a little bit better at creating reviews and formats. All right, thank you so much. Hey guys, just finally got a hold of these Madworks 0.3 mil and 0.5 mil airbrush sets. I missed out the first time with the 0.3 from Newtype and had to grab it when it came back in because I wanted to see what the quality was, because I mean they look like they're pretty decent Iwata clones at much lower price. I mean between 40 and 60 is what you're looking at between both. Now, I'm probably going to mostly talk about the 0.3 because the 0.5, I feel like, I mean, that's mostly just for big sprays. I mean, you can probably do some primers with it, some top coats, but that's pretty big for a detail. Don't really need that big. But I'm going to give both a try, but I'm going to focus more on the 0.3. Because if that gets pretty close to my Iwatas, well, you know, be a decent. If it gets pretty close to my Iwatas in quality, then we have something that we can go to as a cheaper learning model, so people can get into a better airbrush at a cheaper cost, and maybe down the road. I don't know how long these are going to last down the road. I haven't seen. That's the big test of these airbrushes. Like my Iwatas that I bought, years ago, have lasted through everything. The only thing I've replaced has been the needle, and that's usually because of other people's using my airbrushes and not treating them correctly. But I'll see while they both work, and we'll give a little bit of a look here in a second. All right. I'm not going to go through both of them. They're going to be pretty much the same going in. I'll come back with this one in a second. I want to show this first. Is a little accessory kit, and now this is pretty good because for the price of pretty much like an Iwata needle, you're getting, tip replacement, everything inside you need that can pretty much go wrong with the machine is right there. So I think definitely if you're going to get if you get that, grab that along with you. You'll be thankful for the needle is the thing that's gonna ding up on you, and you can always do a little bit of sanding and clean up on that and bring the needle back to true, but it's always gonna take away material. It's always gonna be a little bit, less true. But grab one of those two. All right, go in. All right, real good box, so you can use this later. Nice and sturdy. Talk about this real quick. So there's another tip. There's the cup front. If you don't want the crown, you got your standard right there. The crown tip is just for getting up real close to the details. You can always just take off the tip if you want to get close, but then you got an exposed needle. If you just want an air tube in without having to do a thread or a pop on, this would just be a simple thread to compressor adapter. Comes with it. Then your multi-tool for all the work there. All right. So there it is. Now, like I said, it's very to all my Iwatas. Let me grab one. I got them right here. Let's see. So there's my Iwata. As far as internal components, I mean, I'll take both of these apart later to see, but in general, I mean, most things are Iwata clones. They come down to just what works, and this is still my absolute go-to, my workhorse. Never had any issues. I'll talk about all the Iwatas later in another video, but the main thing is a little difference I can see in cost. They've taken the cap, and it's an aluminum cap, not steel,
So it's still good, but it's, you know, it's a little bit, you can kind of feel it feels thick and sturdy, but it kind of feels, you know, it snaps in, but it's a little bit warpy, but that doesn't really matter. Cap's not that big a deal. It's all going to be what goes on inside. And so I'm going to take that over to the booth and do some tests on it, but I just want to show you what it looks like coming out of the box. All right. So, one of the main things, zoom out real quick, that I like to get done with first, you're going to notice on all my airbrushes, what is the one thing in common? They all got a quick connect at the bottom. So what I have on my compressor is I have two lines coming out from the tank, so I have two different pressures, one for priming, one for top coat, and one for really fine detail work, so you know, like 15 psi, and then one around 20, 22. And so I can just quick disconnect from each side. So what I normally have, I say here's an example. I mean, my favorite kind of the push in, where it's already hooked in. I mean, you still got to do the release that way, but as far as like grabbing your hose, focus is just not great. So, just like that. These are the kind of quick connects I like. So, I would say get 3 spares. Make sure they all are the same type of quick connect. Now, I have some that are a little different. So this is like for Badger. They have a Badger connect. The Badger airbrush, smaller than the Iwata or the Pache. The Iwata and the Pache share a similar connector. And what I'll do is, the only thing I'll do is take some, you know, Teflon tape, wrap it around the threading, just one rotation. Get one nice decent coating on there. Let's see which one we can fit on. And this, I'm not really worried about going too tight with it yet, but I will get my trusty grabbers. Just a little tight. Not too bad. Don't over tighten these. Definitely don't over tighten anything going on up here. But there we go. So that's the simplest setup. So I got my quick connect. This is one that matches all my hoses, and it's just as simple as there. I can use the same line and I'm ready to go. So I'll go track these back down and I'll put them up on the Amazon list, but I'd say get some quick connects. It just makes life so much easier. I know it's a little bit more money, but if all of them have your little quick connect right there, it's just popping the airbrushes on and off. Even if you just have a single hose, it's just going to make life so much easier. And then Teflon tape's going to keep all that air pressure in there, no leaks. But so far, I mean, the weight feels like an Iwata. I can only imagine it spraying well. So let's see how it sprays. First thing comes with a little plastic cover. I like this one, it actually fits pretty good. I'll probably use this for a few others. This is just for safety because it is the crown tips open. You could get a chance of dinging up the tip there, and also just nice to have it. Nice rubber tip. Now the top is aluminum, I believe. Feels like aluminum to me instead of stainless steel. Inside is really nice and polished. It's very clean. Got a good, decent amount. I don't see any flaws in there in the polish. that's going to keep for a long time. Cap fit's a little awkward, but will snap into place. Just keep in mind, you will start getting a little bit of paint up in here, and that'll start making it harder to close. So make sure you clean this cap off around the rim as you're going. See right there, the Mad 203, and you can always note it by the red cap in the back. And now I'm sure a lot of these components are going to be interchangeable. Like if you buy both, you just need to change out certain components up in the tip here to make it the 5. You know, change needle and change inside nozzle. I added a quick connect here. I add that on all of my brushes so that this can just pop into my lines. I don't have to unscrew anything ever again. I recommend this. I'll put them in my Amazon, but as long as you have a quick connect made for airbrushes and you make sure every time match it. Only get the same one. Don't screw up like I used to. But there you go. Here's a nice shot from that side. And time will tell, but so far it holds up right with my Iwatas. So time will tell about this. So, you know, does parts inside get junked up? But right now, I'd say as far as feel from day one, it feels you know, as much quality as Iwata. The needle inside, when I was cleaning it, opening it up, it did feel a little bit softer, like could ding a little bit more, but really straightening out a needle is not that big a deal, and it is the cheapest thing to replace if you ding it up. But there is good. So there's a front. Right. Alright, so I was trying both of these out after I unboxed them. Got all the quick connects on, you know, ran a little bit of lacquer through them just to test them out. They feel as good consistency-wise, being able to keep a steady stream as the Iwatas that I'm used to. Now this may just mean over time certain aspects of these brushes will, you know, deteriorate, but I really can't tell that until time has passed. But so far everything feels quality. Everything feels very similar to Iwata. I mean, I feel like these are Iwata clones, not in a negative way, but just seeing what Iwata did, and this is not the first company to do that, to model their airbrushes off of proven working systems. But I gotta say, I mean, I do love them, and they are cheap, so there's no reason that you shouldn't try at least the 0.3. I would get both if you can, because this is great for primer. This was great for primer. This is great for up close detailing and like shading. If you do black basing like I do, have a nice thin down coat, and then you get really up tight and you kind of cell shade from the outside in. That's great with this one. Good quick coverage for primer. If you're gonna do this, I still am a bigger fan of a brush like this, you know, trigger pistol grip for primer. It put less pain on my finger doing that all the time, but you know, these can be a little expensive too, but I will talk about this in a later video. But right now, I still think the 0.5 on this for coverage is very nice. For primer and clear coat, definitely. I mean, I tried it out, haven't tried it on the kit yet, but I did a few little test bits on spoons. I don't feel any kickback. I haven't tried it through acrylics yet, but it should be the exact same thing. And actually, I'm going to make these I'm going to turn these two into my acrylic only brushes, because I have enough lacquer brushes. So not saying that one can't work with the other, but I feel like if you have, because of how cheap these are, I say even if you buy two of each, so you end up having 4 brushes, 2 for lacquer and then 2 for acrylic and everything else. I mean, enamel can work in between because you can just clean that with 99% alcohol. But if you have the 2 devoted sets of brushes, there's less risk of you pouring in the wrong thinner and it clumping it up, then you have to break the whole thing down. Because really, when I clean between paint sessions, I just clean what's in here. I don't take the needle out. I don't break down the whole thing to clean it. I think that's a problem people run into, is like after every paint session they try to just, I mean, I'll talk about this in the other video. This is mostly about the Madworks right now, but what I'm saying is I don't think you need to clean them as aggressively as most people do each time, but I'm finding no problems with it so far. Ooh, look at that dropping. It's very smooth. It feels like I want it in my hand. It feels quality. You see it just little bits to make it cheaper. Aluminum there. I'm sure a few components. It feels a little bit lighter, only barely, but I think you'll be happy with it. All right, give it a go. Let me know about any kind of questions you might have about these two brushes. Maybe I'll fill in some of the questions here before I finish this video. But if you are new into airbrushing, I would give these a serious try. Maybe just pick up the 0.3, because that can still get decent coverage for primer clear coat, but then you're going to get some really nice control for final painting, for painting through. You'll be able to get up really close, and you're gonna be able to do, it's gonna have a consistent detail. Now you're gonna have to learn, work your way through it, learning the, controlling the back here, controlling how far the needle can go back, which means how big the spray is. So twisting it, opening it up is gonna make the hole in the spray, the size of the coverage bigger. Tighten it all the way down to the minimum. Not gonna be able to pull it back any. Maybe pull back a little bit more, and that's where you're gonna get your dual action in there. So that's pretty much the practice, is learning, kind of trying to figure out, doing tests, learning where you're gonna get the handle, you can get the feel for it, and then learning how you wanna do that over time. You're gonna end up hurting your finger a little bit over long sessions, but feels good to me. I think you'll be happy. So head on over to wherever Madworks supplies local to you. If you're local in California, I'd hit up Newtype first, newtype.us. They tend to have restocks on these pretty dang quick, and they will ship fast. All right, thank you so much. So we have your 0.3 millimeter needle in red. We got a 0.5 in blue. Only things I've added here would be, I've added the quick connects to both. Everything else is stock. Let's see how well they paint. So I'm recording this audio afterwards, because whenever I try to record and run audio when the compressor's on, it just ends up being obnoxious. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to do a quick spray test, just lacquer paints, thinned 1 to 1.5, just directly into these brushes, and then sprayed onto a paper palette. Doing a little bit of fine detail work, but then mostly just showing you the consistency as it's coming out, as it's working. So I plan on using, like, the next kit I paint, I'll use these exclusively to let you fully know, but every time I run paint through this, as you can see from these two videos and just onwards, it comes out clean, feels nice. I like it, recommend it. Be cool if Madworks would send me more of this stuff. I mean, they didn't send me any of these first ones to begin with. I meant more like, it'd be nice if they, I'd love to feature their stuff more. I'd love to, see what they come up with in the airbrushes. Like if they come up with a trigger-based, a pistol grip brush for big sprays. Like do a 0.5 needle, but with a pistol grip. Would be cool. Send that over. I'll try it out. I'll review it. I know my videos don't get tons of views, but I'm trying my hardest, trying to figure out this world. But that's pretty much all I gotta say for these. I'm just rambling now because I know like the paint section took a little while to get through. I do believe in the middle of this, I'm gonna talk now about what I usually do when I clean it is I just use tool cleaner from Mr. Hobby. and when I'm using my lacquers, and I just spray a little bit in. I use a cleaning brush, scrub all the sides, make sure everything's all thinned down, and then I just spray it out till it's clear. Usually I'll use a Haro that I've had inside the spray booth for, about a year or 2 years now. And what I'll do is I'll just put some in, clean it out, scrub it, and then spray it through till it's clean. And then I'll just put clean tool thinner through there again and just spray it until there's no paint coming out. And that's generally what I do between builds. I only will take apart the brush when I've had a serious clog or something's just not spraying right, like if the primer's not thinned down right. But since I use lacquers, I've never had that trouble, especially when I thin it 1 to 1.5. I never have clog issues. When I use acrylics, that's where you get a little bit more of the clog issues, but that's not a detriment to acrylics. I love still using acrylics in certain capacities, but I like hand painting with them more, especially on top of lacquer based. But that's another time, another day. So just so you can see here, I'm gonna let you just see the airbrushes in action. All right. The 0.5. Some nice fun lines there. Good control. You can see it's quite a lot bigger, but you're still able to get some pretty decent fine lines out of it. I don't think it'll really affect much. I mean, if you're doing like vein work or fine detail on a face, I don't think that'd be that great. And then we have here is the 0.3, and you get some really nice fine lines there. I didn't quite go down as far as possible because it was extra thinned, but just you can see the control there, writing stuff out, doing some nice swirls. So, there's that. Alright, so I did a quick paint test on the 0.3 and the 0.5. These are really smooth airbrushes. They felt great. I mean, I think it's just going to be a test of time to see how long these can hold up, like the internal components, because they feel the deep. Well, here, let me talk about this. Okay, so here 0.3, you can see got real fine down there. That was me getting really close, and I was really closing, making the opening real tiny, and getting real close. And these are lacquer paints, getting real close in there. All right, so I just took these into the airbrush, into the spray booth to give them a try out, and we got the 0.3 on this side and the 0.5 on this side. And I mean, the biggest thing that I'm noticing is unless it's going to be up to the internal components of these airbrushes, because they feel just as smooth as any of my Iwatas or Badgers. As far as getting fine detail up close, I mean, maybe over long hauls they may start breaking down, but I'm saying if you're gonna risk any money on a Iwata clone that's well under $100, go for the 0.3. 0.5 is good for coverage, for primer and clear coat. Sometimes I like to do a 0.3 needle for clear coat too, just to make sure it's really fine, there's no globs and stuff. But for the most part, combined, if you buy both of these, it's still going to be a third of what a high-end Iwata is going to cost you. And you know, maybe this is the only brush you'll ever need. I bought my Iwatas back when I did makeup, and I mean I've had them since. They have never had a problem. So as far as I trust like Iwata's the engineering and the design, like they're built solid and built to last. You spend that money, they're going to last that amount of money. I don't know how long these are going to last, but as far as picking them up, and if you're casual, the 0.3 is going to be well worth the money. So I'd say get this if you're new into airbrushing. You just want something to get that extra little detail, get up close, nice even spraying. So there's the finest detail I got right there. And I did, you know, I wiggled it out, moved it around, and here's the biggest. Like that's full open right there. And see, coverage is a little bit light as far as like when I was doing the big thick spray. So I wouldn't call this a good one for like paint, primer, or coverage. But it's good for getting up to that fine details. Like if you need to do some fine pre-shading, definitely grab that. You can see, I mean, it looks great, and that's great control. I mean, I've had a lot of practice on that, but being able to get that close, that's fine. That's right out the gate. That's very nice, 100%. All right, so here's the 0.5. Nice even. Spray it full open. Nice opacity coverage on there. So here's how thin I got that. Pretty good. It starts kind of spattering a little bit when you get too close on a 0.5, but I think you'd still be fine with that. I mean, if you gotta choose one to have and you're interested in airbrushing or trying it out, go for the 3, just so you can get a little bit of better practice with pre-shading, if that's the way you want to go. But if you can get both, do it. But your 5 and the 3, if you're just a general, just spraying, you know, no shading, just coverage of anything, either of those are gonna work good for you. So whichever one's cheaper, whichever one gets you going. Maybe down the road you decide you want to try out an Iwata, maybe there's a deal, maybe a Badger. I'll talk about those other ones in my other video, but I mean, this is still my favorite Badger, Renegade Chrome. This right here, this is for all my fine details, but again, I mean, you can feel a little bit more weight in the more expensive, more high-end brushes. These, you can feel a little bit of lightness. They're still heavy, they're still solid, but you can see where they're cutting corners and cost. Aluminum, I mean, there might be some aluminum fittings in here, but, you know, I like it. I'm very happy with it. I'm probably going to turn these into my acrylic only brushes, or maybe the backups, but you can see right through there, they're very nice. I mean, I'll talk about them more later when I talk about the other airbrushes, but I'm looking forward to trying them out. I think you will be happy with them too. All right, bye. So here you go with the Madworks 0.3 and 0.5 airbrush system. The only things I've added were the quick connects. Those don't come with the kit. But I mean, I gotta tell you, just from my experience with Iwatas, these are, at least in the beginning stages, just from using it for a short period of time, feel just like the top high end, something that is worth 3 times the amount that you pay for them. That's how they feel to me. And I've been using Iwatas and Badgers airbrushes when I used to do makeup, and I mean, a lot of times it wouldn't really matter too much
as long as you're getting a nice fine detail, even coat line. And usually we were spraying in 99, like in an alcohol activated makeups. So those are a lot thinner, could be thinned down more, but you'd ended up having, chunks you'd have to deal with. So the airbrushes, the Iwata and Badger quality was that you could break them down quickly and clean them quickly. And I mean, these clean very well. I don't see any immediate jump out flaws. Like I don't see any mischroming. I don't see any flaws inside the cups that would cause me to worry that they would get rough or flake away. Seems to be pretty chemical resistant. All the seals are tight. Nothing's loose. I just go get it. Go get it. It's cheap. If you can find one now, I'd get them before Madworks realize they can charge you more for this. I'm sure they do. I'm mostly just joking on it. They know that they're able to produce something of high quality and pass savings on. They've figured it out. I don't know how they did it, but these brushes are good. I love them. I'm probably gonna get 2 more so I can devote some just to acrylic. I'm gonna still keep my Iwatas around, but these are now up there on the top. So hang it for me. I mean, I've used Iwatas a lot in the past. I love them, still love them, but these are dang good. If your question to me would be, should I buy this airbrush? Yes. Buy 2. Buy 3 if you can afford it. But I definitely love them. Let me know how you feel. All right.